Hey gang, so, young preacher and fan of my channel, Matt Powell, put up a sermon where he was less than open towards the LGBT community. Now, I was going to respond to it directly, but I have to admit, the last time I checked, the video I wanted to respond to is no longer there. He apparently took it down fairly quickly, almost as if he was embarrassed by putting it up in the first place, and I couldn't pull it from his channel. So I had to find it elsewhere. Fortunately, nothing ever dies on the internet, and it had already been mirrored. That's why I'm so careful not to post anything that could potentially embarrass me. Yes, I'm extremely cautious about not putting up anything that could humiliate me. Wait, what? Let's do this!
Oh God.
Getting busy with it, but I got such a good heart that I make the motherfucker.
If looks could kill you, would be an Uzi or a shotgun. Bang! What's up with that thing?
Yeah, not totally embarrassed by my past self. Let's see what Matt has to say.
You know, it's amazing in the workplace, you can use any other name, you can even take the name of Jesus in vain, but the moment that you take Jesus' name seriously in the workplace, and you don't use it derogatorily, all of a sudden that's hate speech.
No, Matt, you're still allowed to be Christian and love Jesus in the workplace. The problem comes when you try to enforce that on others. It's when you think your beliefs get to trump how others behave that the problems begin. I often get told that those like me on the left are just as intolerant, if not more so, than guys like Matt, because I'm pushing my agenda on him. Here's the difference. I'm intolerant towards people keeping others from living their lives. Matt is intolerant towards people who do nothing but want to live their lives. Can you see the difference? His agenda is telling people how to live and killing them if they don't. I'm not even exaggerating about that. He's all for the execution of any member of the LGBT community. I'm not saying anybody has to like anybody else. You can live your life any way you want, up until the moment it starts harming others. People being allowed to live their lives doesn't harm anybody. You trying to restrict how others live because of your feelings does.
I didn't even know this about the LGBT until this morning, but them trying to push their propaganda and push their laws and say, well, you know, we should just be able to, make it illegal to speak against homosexuality.
Matt, it helps your case if you define what you're talking about. Are you referring to the Equality Act that's coming up in Congress, or the upcoming discrimination cases in the Supreme Court? That's the big deal these days regarding LGBT rights. They are not in any way trying to make it illegal to speak out against homosexuality. It simply adds members of the LGBT community to the list of people that can't be discriminated against. Nobody is getting jail time for hating homosexuals. In the same way that you're still allowed to hate racial minorities, but employers can't act on that and fire them, now those same protections will hopefully go to members of the gay community as well.
Well, you know what? Come and throw me in jail then. Where's the camera? You know what? LGBT, if you guys are going to legalize all this, and I never do this, but you know what? I never preach to the camera, but I think it's appropriate this time. You know what? If you guys ever want to, take and throw me in jail, you can go ahead and do that. Our movement will just get that much bigger.
No, you're not willing to go to jail for your beliefs. Remember, folks, Matt here is on record as claiming that... No, you're not willing to go to jail for your beliefs. Remember, folks, Matt here is on record as claiming that homosexuals should be executed. But not by him, of course. Matt, if you were really not afraid of jail, you'd be the first one out there murdering people for the ghastly crime of being somebody whose personal sexuality threatens you. But you don't. You're afraid to be the one getting your hands dirty. He doesn't want to go to jail, but would totally be fine with other people doing it. If you truly believe that God's laws trump man's, and were not afraid of prison like you claim, you wouldn't be waiting for the government to start executing gays as you want. You would be out doing it yourself. And let that sink in, people. He's in favor of the state executing people for the heinous crime of loving somebody. But he's the one saying he'll be persecuted by laws that don't exist. I really don't think he actually means anything but his martyrdom here. If he stood behind those words, he wouldn't have taken down this video in the first place. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not an expert on American law. But up here, where our laws are way more liberal in regards to protecting rights compared to America, from what I understand, people are still allowed to hate racial and sexual minorities. I'm in the middle of redneck Canada, and there's still a lot of intolerance that you would love up here. You just can't discriminate in certain areas, such as the workplace. And despite what certain fear-mongering psychology professors would insinuate, nobody's going to jail for misgendering people up here. It would take something like calling for genocide to get that.
And everybody's going to hear the gospel. It would be a news story like that.
Yeah, great plan. Go to prison to make sure everybody's going to hear the gospel, because nobody's heard of it before.
Okay. Sarcasm over.
I've said it in the past, but I really do have to respect the Christian propaganda machine. I can't think of anybody in the civilized world who hasn't at least heard of Jesus yet. I really doubt if you go to jail, which won't happen, there'll be any adults out there who'll hear your plight and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Who's this Christ guy he's talking about?
And it's amazing to me that these people, they just want to put, and here's the thing though, really think about this, because they say, oh, it's hate speech to preach against gay marriage.
Hang on, let me check. All right, let's see here. Hate speech, here we go. Abusive or threatening speech or writing that expresses prejudice against a particular group on the basis of race, religion, or sexual orientation. And you're saying hateful things against people because of their sexual orientation. Checks out. Here's how it works. You're still free to say hateful things up until you start inciting violence or making threats against others. Up until then, you be your bigoted little self.
Wait a second. If a kid can't even have their biological father and mother, isn't that hateful? Is that not hateful? That they can't even have their own parents?
What the hell are you talking about? Seriously, how does gay marriage take a kid away from their biological father and mother? Do you think couples go to the courthouse and the officiant will say, here's your marriage certificate, and here's a random child we found in the park across the street. Enjoy your new family. Nobody is advocating forcibly taking kids from their parents to give to gay couples. There are several ways that gay and lesbian couples can have children. There's adoption, surrogates, in vitro fertilization, or even children from previous relationships. And just so you know, all of those are available to straight couples as well, and no one would call those things hateful.
You know, I don't want my kids to grow up in a country where homosexuals are going all over the place and pushing their propaganda and constantly taking and kissing.
So what if two men are kissing? How does that harm you? How does it harm anybody? I'm going to show you a trick regarding consenting people doing things that you don't like, but doesn't harm anybody else. You watching? Good. Check this out. You see that? If you don't want to see something like two people of the same gender kissing, turn away.
You know, I don't want my boys to have to see two sodomites kissing each other. You know what? I think it should be illegal. It's offensive. It's disgusting.
Oh, I've got it. You think it's disgusting, so everybody has to abide by your rules. Guess what? I think having olives on pizza is offensive and disgusting. Should I have the right to just jail or execute anybody who has them?
Well, that's called tyranny, and it's generally frowned upon.
Just because you might find something disgusting doesn't mean that anybody else should give a damn about it. Your personal feelings of disgust don't get to dictate the law.
The Bible, you know what? Leviticus 20:13. It's amazing. That never gets preached, but the Bible is serious about these things. The Bible even put a death penalty on it in the Old Testament. That's how serious God treated it. You know what? And I treat it just as serious.
Yeah, and he also treated as a death-worthy crime a guy picking up sticks to make a fire on the Sabbath. I don't see you advocating for the execution of anybody gathering firewood on a certain day of the week. What kind of defense are you going to give? He had to die, he was carrying a stick? That's an argument for another time. The point is, none of us are obliged to follow your rule book.
It's amazing. The media will never tell you that, you know, the founder of the LGBT community, Harry Hay, it's just a creepy name to begin with, Harry Hay. You know, like Harry off of Home Alone, you know? A crook.
That's supposed to be an argument? That a guy's first name is the same as a character from a movie that came out almost 80 years after he was born? Really? And honestly, does anybody even remember that character's name? When I saw it a few decades ago, damn, I'm old, even I just saw him as Joe Pesci. I had to look up the name while planning this. That would be like claiming that you are just like that maniac cop, Matt Cordell, and I don't see you as an undead police officer. People's names don't directly affect their personality. It would be saying that since your initials are MP, everybody else with those initials would be an intolerant, homophobic bigot. Then again, I could be wrong.
Harry Hay. His idea that of starting the LGBTQ, did you know he's also the founder of MAMBLA, the Man-Boy Love Association? The media will never cover that. They'll never talk about that. They don't want to talk about MAMBLA and the fact that the leader of their community, and every single time that they would do a march when their community started, every single march, MAMBLA, they'd try to incorporate MAMBLA into the march.
First off, Harry Hay wasn't the founder of NAMBLA. Yes, he did support the inclusion of that group in some gay rights marches, but this was a controversial decision and was not accepted by the majority of the LGBT community at the time, and is even more despised now. In fact, these days the only group that wants to associate NAMBLA with the rest of the LGBT community is NAMBLA. The rest of the community does not want to be linked with them and have as dim a view on pedophilia as you claim to.
And now, if you think I'm crazy, folks, if you think Matt Powell's just so far out there, why don't you look at their own sign? Their newest sign says, "Love is age blind," and it shows a kid with a bunch of adults. What does that tell you? They're trying to recruit the children.
Okay, this sign is what's known as a hoax. It was created by anti-gay activists, like you, Matt, who are using people's sense of protection of children to conflate fears of children being abused by the LGBT community. It was not created by the group it's accredited to. And this is not the only time it's happened. These brilliant minds at 4chan have often talked about tricking, or as they put it, red pilling, people into hating the gay community in an attempt to, and these are their words, remove any legitimization they've gained by putting out fake posters claiming the LGBT community is attempting to add pedophilia to the list of sexual minorities they accept. Hey Mensa candidates, if you want to trick society into denigrating a group of people, don't make it so obvious that even a cursory check could show your plans to the rest of the world by posting it on a public message board. Way to be cunning, guys.
And you know what? If they ever legalize pedophilia in this country, they may have been able to legalize homosexuality, but you know what? If they ever legalize pedophilia in this country, there would be a civil war.
This is just an argument rooted in ignorance. There is no serious effort trying to legalize pedophilia. Yes, there have been gay men who have molested children in the past. Can't deny that. But there have also been straight men who have done the same as well. Do you really want to smear all of a group by the actions of a few? I mean, I don't think all Christians are trying to have sex with underage children, but you can't deny there have been more than a few despicable acts and cover-ups by Christian leaders. If I were to use those cases as an example of the behavior of all Christians, that would be just as bad as what you did. Look, all the LGBT community wants is to be able to live their lives and have the same rights as everybody else. They want consensual relationships that have nothing to do with you. Leave them alone, and they'll leave you alone. Everybody should have the same rights. Live and let live. How hard is that?
You're packed in your stack, especially in the back, brother. Wanna take your mother for a butt like that? Can I get some fries for that shake, shake booty? If looks could kill you, would be an Uzi or a shotgun. Bang! What's up with that thing? I wanna know. How does it hang? Straight up, wait up, hold up, Mr. Lover. Like Prince said, you're a sexy mother. Well up, so the real style, big boy style with a smile, smooth like skin with a smile, bright as the sun. I wanna have some fun. Come and give me some of that yum yum chocolate chip, honey dip. Can I get a scoop? Baby, take a ride in my coupe. You make me wanna shoot.